Follow your heart, a journey to the centre of yourself. We'll begin this and any other inner journey by going through the protective process to enter the silence. We breathe deeper and slower, focusing on the darkness behind our closed eyes. We look at this darkness as if we're looking at a cinema screen, onto which we can project anything we like. The screen is blank and dark, yet perhaps now in the centre there's a flicker of light. Yes, it's growing, imperceptibly at first, but now, from the dazzling darkness of all potentiality, a vision forms, expanding to fill our awareness. It's of a simple track, a flattened trail leading away through the tall grass into the trees that stand to the north. As we watch, the grass ripples and bright wildflowers nod. It's early morning, for the sun is still low, and yet there's warmth, the promise of a glorious day ahead. A fat bumblebee zigzags past us. We feel the urge to step onto the grassy track, feeling the dew beneath our bare feet, and so we step forward now into the scene. We go into the glistening green. Looking down, we see our feet in the grass and feel its damp coolness. We wiggle our toes, then we take another step onto its subtly defined trail. Then we slowly bring our attention up, noting what we're wearing on our legs. It may not be the same thing we were wearing a minute ago back in ordinary reality. Now we take our attention to our hands, lifting them up to be examined. Perhaps they look the same as they do usually. Perhaps not. We spend a moment flexing our fingers and studying our palms. We notice any jewellery we might be wearing, or not. We are reacquainting ourselves with our wild self. Then we take our gaze up and lift our head to the sky. It's a brilliant blue, punctuated by puffs of white cloud. There's a light, warm breeze that's moving them along and ruffling our clothes. As we look up, a lark rises, higher and higher, piping its singular trilling melody. Its magical song remains clear, even as it disappears from our view. Then we bring our attention back to what lies before us and we get drawn further into the scene. We begin to move carefully towards the trees. These deciduous species, native to our own land, form a wood that stretches off in either direction. The track on which we walk gets more pronounced as we approach. By the time we've reached the wood's outskirts, we're following a path, marked by the paws and claws of passing creatures. It leads us to the threshold between the sunlit open country we've just been in and the dappled shade, winding off into the leafy interior before us. We pause, breathe deeply, and we listen. Within the wood we hear the leaves of beech, ash and hazel whispering in their ancient labyrinthine tongue. There's a rustling in the leaf litter as a shrew scurries off from our tread. A blackbird's warning call punctuates the stillness. Immediately aware of being watched, we freeze, scanning the deep green ahead. And there, beside a young oak, stands a doe with her huge liquid eyes wide. As we hold our position and our breath, a squirrel darts across a nearby branch, chattering shrilly. Surprised, we step back, and when we look again, the doe has slipped away. As we go on into the wood, the temperature falls slightly, and the texture of the path beneath our feet changes. Now the earth is dry and gritty, and we tread on layers of beech mast, broken fir cones and bits of twig. Each step on this path takes us further from humanity's interventions and into an untamed, verdant realm. As we step into this wood, we speak softly. With honour to all who grow and dwell here, I walk in peace, for peace, as within, so without. We touch our heart, our forehead, and our lips to indicate that we feel love, seek wisdom, and speak true with a gentle spirit. Then we bow low to this living land and we say, "May the unseen beings who come for my highest good accompany me now, even if I do not know them yet." Then we move off, deeper into the green. The path takes us first past a stand of silver birch whose leaves sound like rain as they stir in the breeze. We feel the texture of their papery bark peeling back from their slim trunks. A tiny iridescent beetle makes its way across and disappears under a loose curl of bark. Above us we hear a jay give its strident call. We move past beech trees, the knots in their greyish elephantine skin appearing as eyes that watch us solemnly. As we pass, we touch velvety baby hazel leaves and the glossy emerald prickles of a holly bush. Further on, we crouch down and turn an old log, witnessing the teeming life that's secreted beneath. Down there, under the dense leaf canopy where the sun barely penetrates, we smell sweet rot and damp loam. We touch the earth and we hold the woodland air within us. We are connected to this place. All is well. Continuing on, we find a bank to one side of our path. As we get nearer, we see it's peppered with holes, with freshly excavated earth and small pale stones scattered beneath. We lean close, listening for the movement of small mammals within. We imagine badgers curled up safe together, waiting for the twilight. But there's only the sound of our heartbeat and a distant woodpecker tapping. Our hands touch the springy, jewel-bright mosses, caressing the tiny fronds of viridian and gold. We brush the uncurling ferns with our fingers. Then we see behind the burrow-laden bank to the lavender mist beyond. Fortunately, our path veers to the left and enters this glade, a carpet of bluebells emitting a subtle floral perfume that complements the earthy spice of the wood. We marvel at the bluebells' delicately fluted nodding caps and the thrusting green blades of their shoots, the beauty in both their fragility and their boldness. A pheasant hears us coming now and gives his throaty alarm call. When his sound has died down, there's only the padding of our own bare feet and a buzzard's high-pitched cry far above. If we look up between the treetops, we can see the big brown bird, made tiny by distance, circling on a thermal. Then another buzzard joins it, and another, and soon their plaintive cries sound together. But closer than their mournful commentary, there's a soothing, uplifting sound filtering through. Water. Now the path takes us steadily downwards to a stream running through the wood. We can hear it plashing and gurgling over the stones as we descend, and the mineral tang of the brook reaches us. Eagerly we reach its edge and we stoop to scoop up the crystal water. As its cool benediction, infused with sparkling sunlight, caresses our tongue, we think, "Bless me, holy water, refresh me and be refreshed from the source of all being." We sprinkle the droplets into our eyes and we say, "May no impurity taint this precious flow or contaminate my insight." Then we touch our wet fingers to our forehead and we say, "May truth bubble up in me as from the wellspring of all knowing." We savour the moment, seeing our own otherworldly reflection in the swift-moving stream. Perhaps our wild self looks the same as we do in ordinary reality, but perhaps not. We know that our special glade is on the other side of this bright water, and now we need to look for a place to cross. Turning, we follow the brook westward, delighting in its companionable babbling. Silvery fish dart underneath the shimmering mirror of its surface, occasionally surfacing with a plop. The brook widens now, and as we pass a grey heron wading out to fish, it eyes us warily, but detecting no threat, it resumes its stately stepping through the shallows. Then an iridescent kingfisher darts by and draws our attention to 3 deliberately placed flat stones. We step out onto the first large stone. With each step we'll be going deeper into this wild reality, moving further from our daily cares. The steps are widely spaced and we almost have to jump. 1. Deeper into the green. 2. Deeper into the green. 3. Deeply into the green. And we're across, moving through a fringe of reeds onto the springy turf, disturbing a water vole as we go. But what's this? Now we're faced with a hawthorn thicket stretching off in both directions. Is there a passage through? It seems not. Not under nor over, unless we want to be torn to shreds. The tender young leaves and pretty blossom of the hawthorn may create a pleasing picture, but beneath lie dark spikes that would rend us. Does this mean we must turn back? Perhaps not. For if we ask these formidable trees politely, then there may be safe passage granted. We bow low to the prickly bushes, sensing their astute and inscrutable air. May I pass through, marvellous beings? We wait. Maybe we need to recognise their magic. May I pass through, mysterious beings? This time we acknowledge their pert nature. May I pass through, mischievous beings? A robin alights on a gnarly branch, cocking its head and bobbing. We look at it, and when we look back, a way through the hawthorn has cleared, just a little. If we're careful, we can creep along a narrow passage between the spiky boughs. We edge forward, mindful of the prickling that's part playful, part intimidating. Perhaps with regular visits these trees will feel more amenable to our presence and give us more leeway. They guard something special, so they can't be blamed for making us prove our worth. For now, we edge forward cautiously until we're through the tangled tunnel. But before us is another obstacle, a grassy bank strewn with pink and white daisies. Undeterred, we climb this bank, and we run lightly down the other side, straight through a gap between two ash trees and into a clearing. Here we spin round, gazing in wonder at the ancient beech and oaks that guard the edges of this glade. Beyond their formidable but benign presence, the woodland now seems darker, perhaps more brooding. In the distance there's a loud crack of a branch, as if an unfeasibly large creature has passed through. This is primal woodland, daunting yet fiercely protective of those who respect it. Here at the centre, surrounded by those defensive green beings, all is safe and calm. There's a circle of lush grass and a huge rock in the middle. We walk to it and rest our hand on its sun-warmed surface, tracing the swirls of grey-green lichen and the pits worn over time by countless drops of rain. These dips and hollows in the stone fit our fingers exactly. We raise our face to the benediction of the sun in the cloudless blue and feel a surge of nameless joy, as if we finally come home. Oh yes, this is the place. Here's our wildwood sanctuary, our place between the worlds. Here we can dance with our untamed self, with our unseen companions, with our creature teachers, and, if they're willing, our fairy counterparts. Here we can dance with all there is. We spend a time in quiet contemplation now, sitting or lying on the special megalith in the deep green heart of our being. We touch, smell, hear and sense all around us. In this blissful peace we can access our deepest knowing, hearing the clear voice of truth that we all possess. We can see visions, we can hear messages, we can focus on our wildest dreams, making them manifest in ordinary reality. As wild dreamers, this is dreaming into being, creating a better life dream for ourselves and for others. From this place of deep sanctuary, we can utilize our dreamer, creator nature to positively enhance the energies of the all through our envisioning. In time, we'll have meaningful liaisons here, dreaming together with our unseen companions for the good of the all. Here we will regain our sense of rightness, of sureness and equanimity that we've been missing perhaps for too long. Whatever we need, we'll unfailingly find it here. For now, we just enjoy the beauty of the moment, however it's revealed to us. When we've concluded our contemplation or our communing, we give thanks and move back through the gap between the two giant ash trees. We climb the grassy, daisy-strewn bank and we run down the other side. We ask for safe passage through the hawthorn thicket and find that the way has been left open for us to crawl through. When we reach the other side of this prickly tunnel, we find the gap has closed behind us as if it never was. There's a quivering in those bright leaves, as if the bushes were sniggering knowingly to themselves. This time they've sprouted crimson berries instead of blossom, just to make sure we're paying attention. We thank them. Now we approach the 3 stepping stones across the water. We pause to admire their pinkish hue under the sparkling, rippling stream. Then we say, 1. Moving away. 2. Travelling back. 3. I am returning. And then we're over to the other side. Now, instead of retracing our steps, we continue in a clockwise direction, moving back to our starting place via a fresh route. This outward path winds through an old orchard where silent apple trees stoop, some heavy with small hard fruit and dripping lichen, others bearing balls of mistletoe. We glimpse a bent man with a puckered face the colour of rough cider, but he merges into a tree at one with the craggy bark. We send him our good wishes and move onwards. Yet again the way ahead is obscured, this time by a broad hairy creeper, twining ivy and honeysuckle that trail across our path and drape down. Stepping over the snaking vines and moving them aside methodically, we find that rather than thinning out, our way is choked by a tangle of brambles and briars. The wild rose petals may be blush pink and their heady scent beguiling, but their dark, thorny branches block out the daylight. Is there a way round this challenge? No, our route goes this way. The track disappears into the thicket ahead. We can't barge through as we'd be snagged, ripped and tripped up. The wildwood's clearly confronting us again. Do we really wish to return to the superficial modern reality and leave this wildness behind? It seems that we need to clarify our position. I came to the wildwood with respect, and now I need to leave with honour. I've a purpose in the human world, but I will always return to this place of my heart. Grant me passage through, and I'll carry the wild enchantment with me, spreading it wherever I go. We pause, alert to any change. Gradually there's a shift in the greenery, the branches imperceptibly forming themselves into a tunnel. Giving thanks, we crouch again, almost on all fours, and move laboriously through a narrow gap. As we go forward, bowed and cautious, we acknowledge that there's no malice here, only a test of our intentions, but ducking down is hard. Just as we fear we can't lean forwards any longer, we're out again, blinking into the daylight, with graceful young trees lining our path instead of twisted undergrowth. There's a chiff-chaff calling, a tree creeper darting up a trunk, and a flurry of foraging as a wren flits away. The long shadows of the trunks stretch out on the open grass and show us that a long time has passed since we've started our journey. Or maybe not, for this is a time out of time. Either way, we know that we've nearly come full circle back to the place of our entry into this fabulous realm. Now we stop, stoop, and pick up whatever is beneath our fingers on the track. Our natural token could be a snail shell, empty and almost transparent, or a perfect acorn cup, or perhaps a shard of flint like a Neolithic arrowhead. This symbol of the wild will travel back into the world with us, resonating in our daily lives. We'll treasure the connection it gives us to this place and the energies we'll carry with us. And then we move on. Sure enough, we soon see the place where the trees part and the meadow starts. As we approach, we see we've come full circle, our path meeting the initial track we took into the wildwood. We feel its insistent tugging within us, the pull into the green heart of being, But we know that that way is for another time. We can return. But for now, there's another place for us to be. Somewhere that needs the essence we bring with us. So we move from the flickering sylvan light of the woods into the midday sun as wiser, kinder beings. And we follow the flattened track that leads us through the cow parsley and the rosebay willow herb to the place where we began our journey. With the wildwood behind us, we face towards the south to the glittering sea on the distant horizon. We imagine we can hear the faraway waves and the cries of gulls. With this beauty in our soul, we close our eyes, take 3 deep, slow breaths, and we open our eyes again in ordinary reality. We take time to look at our human hands and feet, breathing in the scents and hearing the sounds of this world. Then we go through our grounding procedure. And I suggest that as part of our grounding, we write up our experience in our journal. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Take care of yourselves and of all other beings you encounter, and go back to your place in the deep green heart of being as often as you can. With love.